Welcome to the Prophecy Club. Our topic today is what? Are you showing me signs to the Suitcase Nukes here? Now, as you folks been following me for a while know that I don't get on here and say God spoke to me very often. And I wish it was better news. But here's what keeps coming to me. And not even for the last 24 hours, I would say for the last week. It's like if I'm doing nothing, this comes to my heart. And it just keeps coming. And it's only two things, but I have to explain. Okay, so first I want you to look at these scriptures, these first two top scriptures here. One comes from Daniel, exactly, word for word, comma for comma. The other one comes from Revelation, exactly the same words. One from Daniel, one from Revelation. That's extremely rare. The next thing is, that's not exactly word for word, comma for comma, like the Bible is, but the next thing that keeps coming to me is celebration like a time of war. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that when there is a celebration involving Donald Trump, that we're going to see suitcase nukes. I'm a watchman, okay? I think you're a watchman. And as a watchman, Ezekiel 33:6 says, if we don't warn and the blood is spilled, then that blood is on our head. We have to explain that. And frankly, I wish God would just speak to me more audibly and just say, tell them this, just straight out, what's going to come. But even in that, a lot of times, God doesn't tell us the things that are coming. He tells us the things that are coming if we don't repent. His heart is that he's long-suffering, not willing that any should perish, but all should come to the saving knowledge of Jesus Christ. So all of these warnings, to a degree, unless they're in the Bible, I'd still like to think we could get to heaven and find out that Revelation 18, the fall of America, never really happened. Okay? I'd like to think that we could repent, but God already sees our heart. Okay, so this is where I'm going with it. I'm about to show you something I think that God has spoke to my heart on that I need to warn you. And rather than me saying you can look for it, guarantee it is coming, I'm going to say we need to pray against it. We should not want these things to come. Okay, so the two things are, look at the two scriptures. It was given to him to make war with the saints to overcome them. One Daniel, one Revelation. Then celebration in a time of war, the two bottom ones. Two different people, almost word for word. Okay, now, I don't know what's going on, but I can just tell you in the next 48 hours, our account is about to hit red. And the only thing I can come up with is that Christians are giving to the election. And of course, that's a good thing. But at the same time, we got to keep Prophecy Club going too. And it's either that or I go sell some silver. And of course, that's supposed to be for an emergency situation. But I guess what I'm saying is it's getting down to an emergency situation. I have no way to stop it from going any further down except ask you, because I don't ask God for money anymore. I just do the right thing, and he speaks to your heart, and it comes in. So if you appreciate Prophecy Club, you don't want to see it go red in our account, or me go sell some emergency silver to keep it out of the red, then God has blessed you. We could really use your help. Seriously, now, we could really use your help, and that's about as bold as I'm going to get asking for your help. Okay, so here's what, in a nutshell, I'm about to bring you. Apparently, associated with a new financial system, associated with Trump setting up a new banking system, BRICS is a part, associated with Trump assuming control, this is what the prophecies say, associated with also massive arrests, associated with a victory celebration like after a time of war, and associated with the Great Lakes splitting all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico, apparently associated with some of, I'm not even going to say all of them. It may be just one or two of those signs associated with them bring suitcase nukes. Now, he's really been speaking to me on this program. I'm just going to say it. I think this is an extremely important program. I wish you would send it out to all of your friends. I know that nobody wants to because nobody wants to believe this, including me. But this is going to be one of them. I'm afraid if we don't send it out, it's going to come back and bite us. Meaning, I think that we're going to say, man, I should have sent that one out. I should have listened on this one. I'm afraid this is one of them. So here's some rumors that tie together with our topic today. It is rumored that all 4 of these people were killed by bankers for going against bankers. Abraham Lincoln reportedly was killed because he was coming against the banking cabal. JFK was killed because he was going to stop the elite banking system by coming out with a new silver note, a U.S. silver note. Muammar Gaddafi was killed because he was going to start selling oil in another currency, in other words, coming against the bankers. Saddam Hussein was also killed because he was going around the dollar to sell Iraqi oil. All 4 of them by bankers over financial stuff. We are at the door. Promise. I said I can't even talk about it. I will just say I said in a 2-hour meeting yesterday, we're at the door. That's all I'm going to say. And I probably should have said even that much. But I hope you're listening on this one. Okay, from howtounaradioshow.com. Breaking news. The feds are practicing for nuclear war evacuation of the U.S. Capitol. Or do they, remember, these guys have a time machine. These guys have a looking glass. 2 different things. One moves them through time, past, present, future. The looking glass allows them to see past, present, future. They have it. They know these things are coming. They are practicing for a mass evacuation of the Capitol. Well, why would they allow a suitcase nuke to hit on, about, or around the Capitol? Because that makes them innocent, you see? Who would bomb themselves, right? More than 50 senators have accepted satellite phones for emergency communications. They're openly telling us it's for the continuity of Congress plans printed and distributed last month. They know something nuclear is coming to the Capitol. I don't think it's the Russians. So he goes on to say video shows, and I'm about to show you a 60-second video, that last night the U.S. government practiced emergency helicopter evacuation persons from the United States Capitol building. At least 12 helicopters participated in this exercise. In the video below, you'll see and hear the helicopters approaching, landing at the U.S. Capitol. The cameraman confirms these are continuity of government helicopters from local police and military. Given the capacities of each helicopter, they can only evacuate about a quarter of the House and of the full Senate. The government is conducting these exercises because it is now clear that, here it is, some type of evacuation is needed in the near future. Here's the video. Now, let me go to those 2 scriptures because this can tie together. Both of these 2 scriptures, I want you to look at them carefully. Those are 2 different books in the Bible with exactly the same words. The same horn made war with the saints and prevailed against them, giving to him to make war with the saints and to overcome them. Here are the words. Here's where they come from. Then I will know the truth of the fourth beast, that is, the world government, i.e., the Antichrist, which was diverse from all the others, exceeding dreadful, whose teeth were of iron. That iron is the Roman kingdom, brass is the Grecian kingdom, which is all talking about what we call the EU. So this is saying the Antichrist comes out of the EU. But the problem is EU is not just necessarily just what we call EU. It's bigger than that today. Let's go on though. And the 10 horns that were in his head, the 10 horns is where they've divided the 7 continents into 10 global regions. But specifically, they also divide the EU into 10 EU regions too. And of the other which came up, before whom 3 fell, meaning they divide the world into the 7 continents, into 10 kingdoms. One of them overcomes 3, okay? And then he rises up, so that leaves 8. That's what that's saying. Then he says, and that horn had eyes. So I know a lot of people want to say, oh, well, the Antichrist is not really a man. Oh, yes, it is a man. And that's one of 2 places it says it. And that horn had eyes. That means it's a man. And had a mouth that spake very great things. I'm going to show you the same words in Revelation here in just a second. Whose look was more stout. Okay, that stout means handsome. It means fierce. It means powerful, okay? And I beheld, and in the same horn made war with the saints and prevailed against them. Look at that. War with the saints and prevailed against them. Show you the same verse, the same words here. And there was given to him a mouth speaking great things. This is Revelation. And great things. So he has a mouth speaking great things. Here, a mouth speaking great things, okay? And blasphemies and power was given him to continue 42 months. He opened his mouth and blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name, his tabernacle, and them that dwell in heaven. Now, here's my point. And it was given to him to make war with the saints to overcome them. What we're seeing with Suitcase Nukes falling in America is the start. There may be other starts, okay? But at least one of the starts, one of the things that is going to start the great fall of our nation. Suitcase nukes. Now, remember they told Benjamin Fulford, we've ruled this planet for thousands of years and we'll destroy it rather than give it up. So when Donald Trump takes over, I said when he takes over, the devil is not going to go quietly into the night. He is going to destroy us just like he said he would, because he's been given this planet and he'll destroy it rather than give it up. He's not kidding. Let's go on. Now, this is very important. In the past, I've only read a summarized, a brief version of it, but today I'm going to read all of it because there's a couple of keys in here that tell us when there's a celebration. And it appears that when Donald Trump, how do I say this? When there is a celebration over Donald Trump taking power, I'm trying to keep some of the other words out of it, apparently that's when the suitcase nukes go off. I'll show you. My son and I were at another state at my grandmother's old house. We were visiting distant relatives that I'd never met before. Her house was about 6 or 7 hour drive from my house, meaning this is probably going to take place about 6 or 7 hours from where he lives, and I can't remember off the top of my head where he lives right now. After the visit, we left and stopped at the ATM machine to get some cash for the toll road. I put my card in, got $20, but realized I didn't get enough. So I put it back in, then I got another $20, but the fee on the receipt was $42, meaning, first thing to look for is when we see our financial system change. That's a key. When we see our financial system change, that's one of the things to look for. Now, there's nothing that says as soon as the financial system changes, suitcase nukes. But it's one of the signs, and that's what I'm trying to point. Now, let's keep there's more. As we drove off, we stopped by a bank in a major metropolitan area, a city, and not the city I live in. At first, I did not know what city it was. it was showing mass arrests on television. That's the second thing. So when we see a financial change, when we see massive arrests, and we have, I don't know, I need to count them up, 7 or 8 people that have seen massive arrests, we've talked about it. An alert came on my cell phone that DJT was assuming control as the new president. Got that financial change, massive arrests, DJT taking control. That's 3. That's 3 signs. Just keep going. I expected people would be rioting and looting, but people were happy, celebrating, boom. Celebrating in the streets like after VJ Day, after World War II ended. This is a picture from those days. They were celebrating in the streets at the end of war. So when we see that, when we see financial change, when we see DJT controlled, celebrating in the streets, then we could look for the suitcase nuke. Let's go on. There's more. A man started crying, saying how all his evil bosses had been arrested and rounded up, that he was now in charge of the bank. He was a Christian and had been praying for this for years. We jumped on the back of the fire truck to catch a ride in the parade because the streets were so full you could not walk. Everything was amazing. Okay, does that sound like celebration? Sure does to me. Does that sound like the devil's going to go quietly in the night? No, it doesn't. It sounds to me like the devil's about to say we rule this planet for thousands of years and we'll destroy it rather than give it up. We've ruled America since its existence, and we'll destroy it rather than give it up. So they just gave it up. Donald Trump in charge. They're arresting people. A new financial system. Boom. Suitcase nukes. Let's go on. There's more. Then I heard a huge explosion. A suitcase nuke had been detonated in the city. I didn't see the explosion, but I saw the shock wave from it. We jumped off the truck, ran into a restaurant, jumped behind the bar for protection from the blast. But we were far away enough where there was no mass nuclear effect, just broken windows and glasses, more like an earthquake. Then an alert came over my cell phone saying, nuclear emergency shelter in place. We were scared, but alive. Now, so I'm thinking, okay, do we have another person that has said something that can confirm this? Mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, let a thing be established? I do. Then the dream cut. I'm standing in another part of the city inside, this is the same dream, inside a very nice restaurant. DJT is having lunch. In the dream, he knows what had just happened, and although he is not crying somehow, I knew that he was brokenhearted at what had just happened. He said out loud, I wonder how long the red cloud from the explosion will last. From where I was standing, okay, red cloud, okay, that's nuclear. Hey, that's not a bang, that's nuclear. I could see all the people at the tables in the restaurant. 2 tables away was sitting behind DJT was a man who was somehow close to DJT, but not only physically, but also they knew each other somehow. In this dream, I knew that the man had something to do with the suitcase nukes. I could not make out his face, only that he was Caucasian. DJT did not know that this man was an evil traitor. As I looked out the window at the red cloud of fallout, I recognized the skyline as New York City. Okay, now, what's it saying? You see, the devil often puts traitors in among us to report, and maybe if he can, to sway opinions. So I think that this is probably saying that the devil has someone in Donald Trump's camp, just like he always has. He always has somebody in our camp reporting. All right. Now let's go on to the next one, and I'm not going to read the whole thing here, just the headline. And that is, he's back. President Donald John Trump is back. And that's one of probably 6 or 7 I have on that one, too. Let's go on, though. So let me refresh your memory before we proceed. We're looking for 5 things: a new financial system, Trump setting up a new banking system, which is kind of sort of part of the BRICS thing, and that's sort of the same thing, but not exactly. And then Trump assuming control. It said assuming. So, I don't know if that's, I don't know. We'll just say assuming control. Massive arrests, victory celebration, and that will lead to Great Lakes split to the Gulf of Mexico, Suitcase Nukes, according to the prophecies. Now, the next one says, and this is Barry Wunsch, title is Victory, Donald John Trump Sweeps the Nation. It was time for the nation to celebrate, there's that word again, celebrate like after a time of war. So that's one of the things we're looking for, is a celebration like a time of war, number 5. All right, let's go on. Then I had a dream, January 9, 2005. I remember it specifically. That night I asked the Lord, I said, what's the next 9/11? Not knowing what it was. Over 2 back-to-back dreams, I was shown a series of suitcase nukes would explode all across America, regardless of who actually plants the explosive or who they blame it on. The people behind it would be international bankers. The one of them would hit a regional bank, knocking out their accounts and their backups for thousands of customers. It'll do 2 things: throw America into a financial collapse and give the bankers billions of dollars. Now, this is the second part of it. Let me put it all together. So again, 2005, next 9/11 attack, international bankers would use sophisticated bombs and experts in several cities, with one hitting a regional bank, destroying the records and backups. This would put billions of dollars into the hands of the bankers. Now, how do they do that? Well, after the Katrina hurricane, a lot of people went back to the bank to get the money out of the bank. The bank says, well, we lost all of our records. Now, if you can prove you got the money in the bank, we're happy to give it to you. Of course, the banks lost the records, and so did the people. So the banks got to keep lots and lots of money. I think that's where they hatched the idea to do it on a larger scale, a nationwide scale. So, did the bankers steal the money from an entire region as a test to see if they could get by with it? Possibly. So, when no one came to the rescue these depositors, they said, let's do it bigger. Then I got up, recorded the dream on my recorder, went back to sleep, and the dream continued. In the second dream, 2 people in long black burqas were walking one behind the other. My impression was they were spiritual leaders trusted by those around them. They were carrying a galvanized bucket about the size of a 5-gallon bucket suspended between them on a wooden pole. It had what looked like soapy water in the bucket. Inside the water was a bomb. They were carrying it through a crowd, and the people were laughing, dancing, partying like a fiesta. At that time, I didn't know a nuclear device was transported in what they call heavy water, which looks like soapy water. So I believe that the second part of the dream is saying that it's going to be a nuclear device that hits these banks. Now let's jump to Chris Shepard, 2020. He says, so I heard the words, come up here. I want to show you something. You asked to see. Instantly, I was standing on a cloud. Walk over to the edge and I look down. Okay, Lord. I look down. I see the 48 continental states, Canada and Mexico, covered by clouds. I say, this is cool, Lord. What am I to see? Pay attention and watch. I saw a mushroom cloud form over Seattle, Los Angeles, Las Vegas, Dallas, Chicago, New York, Washington, D.C., then Miami. Now, there were no planes, missiles, but I knew these were nukes, okay? So if there's no planes or missiles, how'd you get the nukes in? Well, actually, they were planted back in the 1980s. I've covered this many times. But essentially, Russia made 250 suitcase nukes back in the 80s and lost them. Well, some 35, some people say 50, were smuggled into America. Then several smaller explosions in several major cities went off all over. But small towns and country areas were not touched. I could feel that millions of the souls died, and the screams I won't soon forget. I never saw troops moving or hear any warning sirens. In other words, there was no warning. It just went off because they were an inside job. After this, I saw America begin to quake. After this. Now, hopefully it's at least a few months. Hopefully a few years, but probably only a few months. It split open like the Grand Canyon, but bigger. It split from the Great Lakes all the way down to the Ohio River to the Gulf of Mexico. It was at this point I realized what I was seeing and cried out for mercy. This must happen. It cannot be stopped, the voice responded. The next scene seemed like some time passed, but I'm not sure how long. And I saw a massive tidal wave hit the East Coast. Well, if it's the meteor hitting, might not be long at all. I saw the bottom half of California break off and sink into the ocean, and quakes hit several places. Subs started to pop up on both coasts. I knew that there was no rapture in the dream, and everyone was caught unaware. Then clouds rushed in and blocked my view, and I started to wake up. But I asked, when will this happen? Soon, was all I heard, just soon. Now, jump to Dana Coverstone. This is 2020. Now, just to be honest with you, we were watching for this in 2020. We thought, oh, okay, we're getting this in August, and there's about to be an election in November, and it specifically says November. We thought, this is probably talking about this year. No, it wasn't. But it does seem to hint it's just before an election. Let's go on. I saw a calendar. It was turned to the month of November and had shadows flickering all over it. I first saw a light in the sky, a very large bright light, then darkness. What would that be? Suitcase Nuke. I began to make out through the dawn's haze and fog that many Americans were in emergency shelters. There seemed to be snow on the ground, and it was dirty and gray, almost like ash. There were people huddled together and shivering, individuals lying on cots, suitcases all over the place, and desperate looks on the faces of most everyone. There were encouragers in the crowds. That would be us, right? We're all wearing crosses, and they stood out emotionally from everyone else because they had hope. Why? Because they had Jesus. And why they also have hope? Because they knew this was coming. They had crosses. They stood out emotionally because they had hope. They had smiles on their faces, checking on people, trying to show patience and kindness, but they were at times met with anger and told to go away. But the encouragers just kept doing it. Now, let me just say, okay, so do I know that this is about to happen when Trump somehow takes power and somehow a suitcase nuke hits? I don't know. But I can tell you this. How are you going to feel if suitcase nukes hit, these things we're talking about today happen, we're right in the middle of celebrating a big Trump win, all of a sudden suitcase nukes hit all over America. Your friends keep saying, hey, did you hear about the suitcase nukes? And you pop off and say, oh, well, I knew this was coming. You knew this was coming? And you didn't warn me? You didn't tell me this was coming? Why didn't you tell me? Well, I didn't think you'd hear. You should have still told me. See, that's the problem. Okay, so what side of that you want to be on? You want to be on the side that warns them, and maybe it doesn't happen this year? Or do you want to be on the side that doesn't warn them, and then maybe it doesn't happen, but what if it does? Okay, let's go back. But the encouragers just kept doing what they were doing, despite the manifested upset of several in the shelters. Some businesses were shuttered in the big cities. I saw gas stations that looked as if they'd just been walked away from. Why? Because a suitcase nuke fried the computer chips. But the plan is, if you have one of these on your car, or one of them on your house, at empshield.com, promo code prophecy gets you a discount. Promo code prophecy, yeah, it also helps Prophecy Club. But if you want your car to start, and this may be happening this November. I mean, as I'm recording this is Halloween Day. Okay, so who knows? Maybe what if this does happen in the next few days, few weeks? I don't know. I saw gas stations looked as if they'd just been walked away from. I saw headlines that read shock and awe in the U.S., and as well as one that read UN steps in to help host the nation. There was a large amount of quiet over the country, almost as if it had not awakened fully from a bad dream. The nation was fitful and suspicious and leery of what was coming next. Very hesitant. Then the white figure appeared and said, remain braced, as this calm comes before a gathering storm that recovery will have a hard time finding. Then it repeated it. Remain braced, as this calm comes before a gathering storm. Now, what calm? Is this the calm that we had back in 2020 with the pandemic? Is that the calm it's talking about? Is this the calm after the pandemic when they're burning cities and looting? Or is this the calm when the suitcase nukes go off before Russia attacks and destroys America in 1 hour? So what's the calm? I don't know, but it doesn't look too good. Remain braced as this calm comes before a gathering storm that recovery will have a hard time finding. Bottom line, bottom line, ask Jesus into your heart. Doesn't take fancy words. Just say, Jesus, be my God. 2, the next most important thing to do is to have some kind of air filtration. Can't go more than 3 minutes without air. And that means some of those masks, like the N95 masks, better have them to filter out the fallout coming down in your area, should it be that close. I think you ought to have a water filter. prophecyclub.com has water filters. I think you ought to have some food. josephkitchen.com. Joseph's, there's an S in there, josephskitchen.com. Get your food for about $1,000 per person per year when everybody else charges $9,000 or $10,000 per person. josephskitchen.com. Get yourself prepared. We've been watching for this. Well, I've known Suitcase Nukes are out there since 1998. Okay, we've been watching for this specific part of it since 2020. So here it is. New financial system, just like Shane Warren was told, a lot of people. Is it at the door? Is this about to happen? Or is God about to give us more time? Get yourself prepared. As you recall, this past Saturday, November the 9th, the Lord spoke to me 2 words screaming at me loud like a trumpet. Medical, medical. I take that to mean that not only myself, but also those that follow Prophecy Club, in addition to all of the other preparations we've made, we need to start making medical preparations. And I put that out, and I was deluged with emails sending me to this place. This is the place that all of you seem to like when it comes to medical supplies. So I called them, hooked up, and I've arranged to get you a 5% discount when you use the promo code PROPHECY. Promo code PROPHECY, 5% discount, and it's refugemedical.com. refugemedical.com. And as you can see, they have all kinds of, here's one of the main things you need to get. It's called a burn bucket. This tells you all about it. They also have a business bundle, a home bundle. I think everybody ought to have at least a home bundle. They also have vehicle bundles, church bundles. So they already put this stuff together, and this is not foreign-made stuff. This is all American-made, and it's by a Christian company. And you go to refugemedical.com. refugemedical.com. If you don't want to lose your life's savings, if you have an IRA or a 401k, the thing to do is call 800-200-GOLD. 800-200-GOLD. These folks are Christians, and they specialize in helping people not lose their life savings in the event of a stock market crash and things like that. Look, most of the 401ks, most of the IRAs are in paper, backed by paper, and as Lindsey Williams says, if it's in paper, it's worth the paper it's written on. You can lose it all. 1-800-200-GOLD. 800-200-GOLD. Hey, give them a call. Doesn't hurt. Doesn't cost you anything. See if they can give you some good advice.